Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Planet Mithril. We have another entry in our blog and vlog series for you today on this roasting Wednesday. Absolutely roasting here in the UK. So warm, ridiculously warm. But we asked you on Instagram to ask us a question, ask us anything. We did put a little post out a little while ago, and you guys flooded in with your questions, which we did answer very briefly on Instagram, but we did promise we were going to answer in a full and in-depth YouTube video today. So we thought today would be a really good chance, as the paint is drying so much quicker than it should do normally in this heat, to take a step back and have a little chat with you guys and answer some of your questions in the YouTube video today. So we have a fresh cup of dirty bean water, and we're going to get started and answer some of your questions that you sent through on Instagram. This is something I get asked all the time, so frequently, and I think I've tried to address it as I think we did one of these a little while ago actually, and I addressed it then. Yeah, so the brushes that I use, bear with me. So I use generally 3 types of brushes for all my painting work. I tend to use the Citadel brushes for all my my base colours and to do the bulk of my prep work, as they're really good. They've got good coverage potential. The bristles are really nice, and you can get really nice solid lines in. It tends to be the layer brushes that I use mainly, and the artificer brushes mainly because the models that I paint at the moment haven't got big plate armor and aren't big monsters at the moment, so they need to have that super big like bristle for coverage. But I tend to use those for my the bulk of my prep work, and then for the bulk of my workhorse work, effectively, so all my actual main work, I tend to use broken toe brushes because I think they're just some of the best brushes you can get. I think they're really nice, really lovely, feel really good in your hands, and the bristle quality is insane. But we've got so we've got a 3-0 brush here, and we've got, I think this is a 1 here, and I tend to use these for the majority of my actual main body of work. And then detail work, or fine detail work, I'll get a point for that again, like eyes and like really fine edge highlighting, I use Artis Opus Series M and Series D. The Series D is the dry brushes, and they come from a small one all the way through to a huge like makeup brush, which is great for dry brushing. Absolutely great for dry brushing. And I've used this so often with lots of different pigments paints, and it hasn't lost its colour. Such a good quality brush. Am I still happy with my hobby room? Oh, I'm so happy with my hobby room. Although it's a little bit of a bum site at the moment. It's definitely more of a working studio now. I haven't actually gone around and properly tidied it up recently. But as you can see here, you know, there's projects going on all over the place. Lots of things happening, lots of things probably where they shouldn't be. But yes, I'm still extremely happy with my hobby room. It's lovely to have somewhere that I can squirrel myself away. It's not too hot in here. I've got windows open to the right hand side of me. But it's great when people come over for games. I can just set the table up, and we can just shut ourselves away from the rest of the house and just have a little bit of like a hobby cave where the nerd can flow. Which it's a beautiful setup. I'm really happy, and it's great to sit in here working with the TV on the swivel. We need to update the camera rig, because the camera arm that I bought to go out over the tables are too close to the wall, so it doesn't get the whole top-down view, which is why that hasn't been featured in battle reports yet, but we are going to get there with that. But yeah, I spend 80-90% of my time down here, much to the, I don't know, the joy of Mrs. Mithril? She says she misses me, but I'm only in the nerd cave, but I'm imagining she's grateful for the peace and quiet sometimes. So yes, this space is amazing. My favourite Middle-earth strategy battle game, faction, and why is it Hobbits of the Shire? Now, I love Hobbits of the Shire. I love the idea of a Hobbit army. I would be on board 100% for doing. I think I've even bought a load of Hobbits to start painting. And yes, they are a great army. I love the models. I love the profiles. I think they're great. But you cannot take me away from my first and foremost love, and that is Gondor. They don't call me Mr. Minister for nothing. I have taken my Gondor forces to multiple events, and they're always so much fun to play. A little bit frustrating with the lack of Fight 4 troops, base troops in the army itself. And I mean, yes, I mean, I know they're a Fountain Court Guard and they're fight value 4, but if you're playing theming like you always should, you only take 4. So, but Citadel Guard are good. They've got probably one of the best variety of troops and options available to them. They've got probably one of the most amount of heroes in the game under one under one faction, under one army. I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm a Gondor man through and through, I must admit. And they're a labour of love, as you can see from the pictures in the cabinet. You know, with those flagstone basings and all the freehand on the cloaks. I've got a lot of love for my Gondor, and I've got 24 riders and another 48 warriors, and I keep looking them up here, and I will get around to them eventually. But I just can't bring myself to do all that flagstone at the moment with everything else going on. But eventually Gondor will get finished. Well, I mean, as finished as Gondor probably should get. I'm aiming for about 5k in regard to what's in the cabinet there. Which, to be fair, I don't think we're a million miles off. Probably about halfway there, I'd imagine. I don't know. I haven't actually done a top-up of what the points value in this cabinet is thus far. But yes, Hobbits are up there for me. Hobbits are up there, but Gondor all the way. Yes, I absolutely am going to do Iron Hills and some more Rohan Heroes. It is literally just a case of there is not enough time in the day to do everything I want to do. Currently, I'm still finishing off some commission work, which we'll be opening for again, but on a much smaller scale eventually. It's literally just a case of there aren't enough hours in the day, because we've got Middle-earth, obviously Shatterpoint's hit the ground running, and thank you guys, the Anakin Skywalker video has been received really well so far, so I really appreciate you guys for checking it out and giving us feedback on that. But we've still got Marvel Crisis, Malifaux, I've got Tau, which I've started painting up for 40k, and also we're continuing with the Crest of the Ring Bearer and filming more battle reports there, and then trying to get some blog stuff out. There's a lot to do, but I am a one-man army, and I don't have any other editors or anyone else do anything for me. I film everything, I paint everything, and I record and I edit and release everything myself. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So things like Iron Hills and Rohan, as much as I really want to get them out as quick as I can, it's more of a case of the content that I can find the time to release at the moment. I'd rather vary up a little bit, so there's a little bit of everything, rather than kind of delve too deep into one faction or one particular branch of a game. Because as much as I'd love to, for example, painting up the Rohan stuff, I would be happy to do a load of Rohan stuff. I've got a load of Rohan stuff ready to go. Don't have any Iron Hills yet. That's going to be a pricey one to try and get hold of. But like, I would be happy to release a load of Rohan videos, but that would be effectively all that would come out for a little while, and I don't want to pigeonhole it so much. So I've kind of like effectively tried to scatter all the releases in amongst each other, so there's a good variation of everything. So everything is coming. It's just not necessarily coming as quick as people want, because there's other bits, and I'm trying to keep it as broad as I can to appeal to as many people as I can. Which maybe is the right thing to do, maybe it isn't the right thing to do, but it feels like the right thing to do for the channel at the moment. But yeah, so Iron Hills, Rohan, Galadrim, Thranduil's Halls, all that stuff you guys have asked for, it is in the pipeline. I have a huge Excel Bible on my upstairs computer with all the videos that I've got planned, and it's a sight to behold. It is ridiculously big. And they're kind of all, not all of roughly scheduled, but they're all on there. I've literally gone through all the gaming websites, model websites, and written down every single model for every single game system that I plan to do videos for. That took about a day. Yes, they're absolutely coming. That's a long-winded way of saying absolutely they're coming. I just don't know when that will be yet. Oh man, I have no idea. I know the diorama got mixed reviews when it was released at Warhammer Fest. I mean, I can understand why, because there's things in the Middle-earth game system which need updates, and I know people have got their wish lists and people have got their hopes for the game, and that's absolutely fine. I've got my own. There's definitely more dated models in the range than not, and obviously people were expecting, I think, more from Games Workshop when it came to the release from Warhammer Fest. I'm not one of those people. I'm genuinely quite happy to see whatever they want to bring out, and the fact that they're doing little diorama pieces, which is something that we don't think we've really had, with the exception of Fall of the Witch King and Death of Gothmog. I don't think we've had any big like diorama pieces like that in the game itself. Especially not on the scale at which this Ringwraith and Hobbits one is. Forget the name of it. Shortcuts make long delays. Get off the road. I think it's Get Off the Road. I was quite happy to see the diorama. I was a little bit disappointed there was nothing else, considering the last release we got was really, the last big release we got was Glorfindel, Battle of Skiliath, and there was 3 or 4 other things that came all as one big kind of release. It was just like, yeah, awesome hype. Like capitalize on the hype and get it going, because people want to play this game and people want new stuff to come out for it. And it's such a good game, like probably one of the best games that Games Workshop have ever done, especially in all of our hearts, and in my heart particularly. But yeah, what they're going to do afterwards, I don't know. Yeah, hoping for maybe some Rivendell and some Numenor, because those are some of the oldest models in the range, because they came out as a part of the big starter box set back when Fellowship of the Ring first came out. Plastic High Elves, Plastic Numenorians, again, an update just to kind of match the poses of the stuff they're doing now. I don't know, a little bit me kind of wants a plastic Hobbit box, because it'll be a lot easier than buying 4 Hobbits at £10-15 a throw for an army that requires at least 70 Hobbits. In regard to anything else, I don't know. I quite like the diorama. I am looking forward to buying it and painting it up as a piece to have myself. And I'm kind of optimistic to see if that's received well and people enjoy that, what else they might do diorama-wise, because there's so many iconic diorama scenes they could do from the films in model form. And I think maybe they're just kind of testing the water with this one before hopefully bringing out some more ones. I don't know, we might get a Helm's Deep kind of deeping wall explosion with Gimli jumping over the wall. We could get a for Frodo diorama, Legolas coming down the stairs at Helm's Deep on the Uruk-hai shield. You know, there's loads of stuff they could do. Yeah, I think I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm excited for the diorama, and I'm gonna look forward to buying it. I look forward to painting it up and having it just as a piece for myself. It would be something nice to have something that I can paint for me. Also, I'm one of those people that no amount of hero sculpt is ever enough. But yeah, so that's probably where I am with the diorama and kind of what's coming out afterwards and what I hope to see afterwards. Plastic Rivendell, Plastic Numenorians, Plastic Hobbits. Oh, that's like asking me what my favourite and least favourite breath to take is. That is a hard question. That is a really, really hard question to ask. I don't think I can boil it down to one profile in particular that I like or dislike. There are ones I prefer and ones I don't enjoy so much. I think I just have to kind of base my preferences on what profiles I think capture the spirit of the model itself. In that ilk, I quite like Aragorn's profile. I think they've done well with Aragorn. Radagast is up there for me. I don't know, the variation, particularly from now we've got him in the Hobbit army as well. He was pretty good originally when it was the old Radagast or Metal Radagast with the bird and the staff. That was a nice model. But yeah, I mean, Radagast is my favourite wizard anyway, and it feels like they've got a good balance of spells for him. He's fairly resilient. He's got the option for Slay, Eagle, and any profile that comes with an attached hedgehog is up there for me. I feel like profiles like Legolas and some of the elves kind of fall a little bit short. I don't know. Maybe it's just because elves in the film you expect so much more from on the tabletop, and they never seem, at least in my experience, they never seem to deliver quite as well as they do in the films. Basically, my Legolas or my Legolas always die. The Balrog's one that irritates me. I don't know. He always feels like he's impossible to get rid of, but also fairly hard to wield as well. Whether I could be wrong in thinking this, but I don't think, certainly he never used to have fly. I don't know if he does now. I can't remember. It's been a long time, and we haven't got to Khazad-dûm yet in Quest of the Ringbearer, so haven't quite got that far yet. Yeah, he feels like, especially when he was just movement 6 and no flight, he was impossible to run effectively because you could just tie him up with one warrior, and he's got no might points, so he can't even heroic combat to get him a little bit of extra movement. But also, he's just impossible to get rid of. So you're tying up this 400, 500 point model with a warrior return. You're feeding him. Yeah, you're stopping him from doing anything effective, but you can't get rid of him. So there are games where you have to stand on one objective to win it, and you park the Balrog on it if you're lucky enough to get there, and you just can't do anything. So I don't know. I feel like that profile could use a little bit of work. From doing Quest of the Ringbearer, actually, I can say that Wild Wargs are a bit in there. We haven't got to Wargs in the Night yet on the channel. At least we haven't released it yet. But you'll see in that just how pathetic wild wogs are. And I appreciate there's meant to be a manoeuvring unit to get into position and hold objectives fairly early on. But hobbits at the same fight value as wargs, especially when you've got 2 or 3 wargs on one hobbit. It's very demoralising for the warg player when a hobbit like Merry or Pippin is fighting off 3 wargs. Yeah, I don't know. It's not one I can really boil down to 1 or 2 definite profiles that I love or hate. I'm going to put this on the back burner in my head, and just while taking breaks, I'll flick through the book and just have a little look. So I apologise I haven't really been able to answer your question properly, but I'm going to keep this going in my head. Ah, there we go. There's a perfect idea. Thank you for a video idea. We'll do Mithril's top 5 best and worst ME-SPG profiles in a video. I'm going to answer that question then. But yeah, so cool. That's something to look forward to and something for me to add to the list. So thank you very much. That's awesome. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that coming soon. And but that's a kind of where my head's at with it. I wouldn't necessarily say Malifaux's not popular. I feel it gets overshadowed by a lot of the quote-unquote bigger games. But it's got no real reason to, because it's not the same kind of game as, you know, your Middle-earth, your Warhammer, your Marvel Crisis, because it's all done with cards. And yeah, I've been part of the Flipping Weirds for 7-8 years now. Definitely known on the scene, and the Malifaux events tend to be very popular. They fill up very quick, particularly some of the bigger ones, the Grand Tournaments and the Nationals in particular. They fill up very, very quickly, and Nationals in particular can get in excess of 100 people at this event. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's not popular. I just don't think it gets the mainstream appeal compared to, you know, your other like Games Workshop games and games like that. Which is a shame, because the models are beautiful. They're a pain to build, because apparently you can't have a model that doesn't come in 15 pieces, and the less said about Yanlo's beard, the better. But yeah, the models are beautiful. They're genuinely fun to paint. I'm swapping faction now, moving from Outcast to Neverborn. I think in the UK in particular, Malifaux is more popular kind of in the Midlands and kind of up north. The South scene is not very strong. Which is a shame, because, you know, that's where I am, and I'd love to do more events down south. When you're having to travel 1 hour and a half, 2 hours to a day event every other week, like we were doing back in M2E days, that got a little bit too much. Then the south scene was stronger then as well. So we're looking at building it up. Watch this space, because the Weirds have got some plans to try and help boost popularity in the south. But yeah, I mean, Malifaux is a great game. For anyone who wants something a bit different, pick up a box of models. You've got 8 factions to pick from. The models are stunning. You don't need a great deal of them to play a game. And yeah, the mechanics of the game are something that's just unique across all game systems. And something that I think more games that are being released nowadays are drawing from, because it's all done with cards, and you've got an element of control in regard to what you can and can't do, because you've got your Hand of Fate, which you can cheat in to push certain things through. Or yeah, I think it's a great game. The competitive scene is rife with amazing players, and that continues to get stronger and stronger, I think. Just not down where we are, unfortunately. But yeah, can't recommend Malifaux enough. We'll be getting some Malifaux content on the channel. I know my friend Matt, we're going to do some podcasty stuff and some faction deep dives, and eventually get a battle report going for Malifaux as well. And I've got some Outcast stuff filmed to get out on the channel in the fullness of time. Once the days get to 48 hours long, I can find the time to do all this. Yeah. I don't know. It's just my bad luck, Sam. A lot of it was just all trial and error, to be honest. Back when I first started, there were a lot more books out how to paint. You know, I mean, to be fair, I learned painting with Games Workshop paints from a very young age, and I'm quite belligerent when it comes to my painting. I've got my very set kind of ways of doing things, and won't often kind of branch out from that, which I'm trying to get better at, which is why we're doing a lot more with Scale 75 and relying less on our old recipes, and trying to experiment with new things and kind of broaden our painting skills a little bit. Like, I haven't even really used contrast because I'm so just set in my ways. You know I do a lot of mixing paints in the painting videos, And this is why I try and keep as accurate as I can in regard to the ratios that I use on models, because a lot of it for me has just been trial and error. You know, I've painted so much over the years, and a lot of it has just been, let's try this, let's try this. Did that work? No, it's literally just effectively self-taught. As I know a lot of people obviously are. The number of models that I've put to the side, or you know, got rid of because they just didn't turn out how they should have done, and I've bought another one and I've tried again. I don't know, this is something else that I might try and address in another like blog video actually, and just kind of talk through my process a little bit more, because I've never really sat down and thought about it. I've never thought, you know, how did I get to this point? Like, you know, I've got some of the first models I ever painted in my cabinet, and you can see like my very first Middle Earth model was a Fellowship Legolas. My first models were a box of Tau Fire Warriors, which weren't even undercoated. And then we moved on to some Raptor Space Marines, and I keep those in my cabinet as a reminder just of kind of how far we've come in 20 plus years of painting, because it's, you know, it's a long journey to go on, and I feel like this hobby is something that if you don't pick up and stick with at a young age, like a lot of people try it, and I don't feel like everyone kind of gets what they want out of it, and I feel like there's no deliberate pressure from anywhere, but I feel like people get pressured a lot by just the quality of some of the models out there that people produce, and particularly people that start off, you know, really want to try and emulate that and paint amazing models. And you know, for beginners, it's a lot harder to do that because you don't have the skills, you don't know the recipes, you don't necessarily know how to, you know, the best way to work with the paints, and I feel like that can put a lot of people off, and which is a shame. But it's great to see so many content creators, you know, taking the time to give out these step-by-step recipes to try and help, you know, burgeoning new painters. Always of the ilk, I've said this before in videos before, that as long as you're happy with the model, then it's perfect, and don't listen to what anyone else has to say about it. If you're happy with something, then as far as you're concerned, it's perfect, and you should be proud of what you produce. You should always be proud of what you produce. But I've definitely fallen foul myself of being one of those people that looks at a model they've done, compares it to an online picture or a website, selling the model. Obviously they've had to paint it for the website, and gone, oh, that looks like rubbish, and I've got rid of it and I've not gone back to it. So I've been guilty of it myself, going through my painting journey in particular. I had some of those, particularly from Games Workshop. A lot of my stuff was Games Workshop oriented growing up, which were really good, and really good tools for me to use. I suppose the equivalent of that nowadays is doing it online, because you don't really get the books anymore, and there's a couple floating around, but not a great deal. But yeah, that's another one I'm going to have a proper little think about, and we'll do a Mithril timeline, and we'll go through some of the examples. But yeah, just all I can really say in regard to painting like that is just keep going, and you know, be proud of what you produce, because at the end of the day, it's something you've spent your time on, you've poured your love and care and attention into, and just be proud of what you produce, because no one can take that away from you. Yeah, so it's a kind of a hard one to answer for me. Just really just lots of trial and error, and which is why I'm grateful for the chance to be able to pour my area of expertise and my style of paint. And that's the thing, right? You'll develop your own style of painting. Like no style of painting is the same across any two painters. So just don't be afraid to ingratiate yourself in your own style and develop your own style, because if it's a style that suits you and you're happy with the work it produces, then why should you have to change it? Like, if you're happy with it, you're proud of it, and you're proud of what you could look at a model afterwards and say, I made that, I am proud of that, then as far as you're concerned, it's perfect. Well, there we are. That is the next video on answering your questions. Please feel free, like I say, to comment with questions, to fire them across on Instagram. I will always read them. I don't necessarily reply as promptly as I really should do, and I know the comments in particular on YouTube can get out of my hands fairly quickly, and so I need to do another stint of replying there. I'm trying to get better. It's just brain melts out of head, and yeah, so but please don't be afraid to reach out, because I do read all your messages. I do read every single comment, and I will get better at replying. But yes, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's little blog. Probably a bit longer than it should have been, because I tend to waffle on a little bit, and some really good ideas from these questions for future videos, so for that I'm very grateful. We are going to have Clone Captain Rex for Shatterpoint coming out on Saturday, and then the week after we're going to have The Watcher in the Water, and I haven't decided what the second release for next week's going to be yet. So we're very much on an ad hoc basis in regard to what the second video is going to be. Also, I want to do another community showcase, so please start flooding my inbox with your awesomely painted models. as we very much enjoy showing those off to everyone on the channel. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening to me waffle on for the last 20 minutes, half an hour or so. And until next time, guys, we will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Happy hobbying. Bye-bye.